qadluwatal merel al presidential press conference rigi del along del urior o del qabsing ila otro el buil del agra 2024 ma ngwabek el tol doru la era bodol mo la e bodon tira pastor Ipi Williams Rsel Hope Tamoni Church bol baskida mo eder el altutara era bodol mo mertel press conference rigi del bungela presidenta
Malungil tutaw president, ma vice president, ma rogul ministers, ma chiefs, ma directors, tigal adra press ngatiang adra news. Awira po lulu en so kalmo ay viatara ba se mamlulu Tiang ara Psalm 44 sil 1 al mora 3. Mula se obeng se la klung yole la Dios. Akmoblo oil loldang srarubak. Ndiakok magim loldang seringi. Akmo oldang seringi ilgil igil blarul. Trigger rogul oarma bolsevil lo rengse. Evolungila rengrir. Mo bangger lo mer raklangar babra Dios. Evo babak loldang sa rangklel. Adam el Dios el ngarayang aba lola barogul klisi rayang aba ma utama. Kaweruba ka amral ngarbab emran sisi etngakla emeang leger rogul ngaringi rayang aba ma utama akloklem maring aba mangkloklem Eral tuta giam kodong rangklem emre ngasulem rab esel sils Ergam los emlolgis ergamam rogu yagiguk ngar yang al selel al sils Agimre ngasulem legimre mara ulo bangalel al mamra Oktober Lubak maging song semre ngasulem leger rogu ilgam narmul magem lenglungu am Algirel ablur belau ma president regel gukne omrolel moto regel ablur belau Egamil sabak keringi regel bek lulurior Niam birul algirer adar belau mkamam al adar belau mel altuta gidi merenga sule meman botrega klitial el press conference el niam last el press conference ngirel al Oktober ruba gel ngitro ngotiga igergau mabud maigel ngia amos bek klawad mbol sirar bek adal mum bengi egel urior el president Tamrul el giramar adar belau Agat tria rogul minister seringi, tria rogul ngatial mrut aurior. Agel bek luriol polur el alsils, como vantrir, y momutika gertir, y mosabak gertir. Magimere ngasule, me rositiar press conference lo korkar olel mablam ngalel, ngaklang agimel Jesus. Amen.
Sulang Pastor Williams Hope Tamani Church di sogal mutal tal emral di momra ngasule la agal bek al adra Agil Ashama, for the last 4 years, el tira me abangget ngara press conference, egid omoral wasigat bol kot, egid amre asule la rubak al yusra rogul klangal tangat al mirabel was. Musula ngara anglungu egid omoral wasigaul kadangal tangat blu kidro dios el blu. Magamra musula ngarti al teal egida dirigal mutalteal dirigal mosus raibdul maraklay ma rubugul belau bilung ebiraklay mar masil belau President Paules marugul senators Speaker Anastasio marugul delegates Governor Paloy marugul governors Speaker Talay marugul speakers electors di mal tugobet sel susirgid amor harbek la adar belau mal sogal mulgonia angarang ayang al mor hocharigi tegol mal sogal mulgoni tugor hocharigi sergi morura utemela la when I was in the second gangan en mal mleklo to trela angel untera hatobela dase alin hocharigi ya boundary giren mom lekra hocharigi man gira de mom dase ablo da klo kadamra langal tangate we should be inclusive and remember everyone man da diriga mal menga sulir trigal ngalgadel mlekra blulat al sils blol tunin and moregal press conference man غادي SSL update هذه سوق المشيرة of course بتوقع يعني بتوقع intermediate press conference ما غرام دي تياسل وال official ال Wednesday دي بده update روسي ملاني تيال judicial conference it's ongoing أبلور بلاو كذا المريض مسؤول لا chief justice نيراي جلاو ما تريجل أوك براو Palau Judicial Council عملوا decide راسي أبلا مو والhost venue تيجي الconference تيام ساعة تقول environmental laws كذا مديا سيابلور بلا كذا leader when it comes to environment تما أقمدورا Justice Carbolito راسوس يعني they're looking forward to going to visit أيقال sites كذا كذا I think they have a special visit المرة 70 islands مرويد المو that nature preserve and something that we need to be proud of and share لو مجلا Pacific لين كده مدينا سألو جلا كلار جيد أجيرة المسبة أقرني أجيرة الميليسي إرني اللي تيا أجيرة المال ملوس بيرني تقدي لا مخلوق المرال ميمن قناع سولين نه هو استدريق الملوس إلا جل لوتينت كافرنور أقوام الدريق الميلدين أنا كده الويجل لو بنجل ما قدم لا هذا دو إني أملوس إلا ويت تريق أوك other national guard سيسل كده من ماليس state partnership لو بنترير متملي evaluate تيجي البروجرام سيتيرا مسئل أدرغانية سيوري several that they mentioned I wanna sell ook mohel prida tora abulis cooperation ma ook law enforcement training they're hoping to do that next month I think they're working out the MOU to see what say ngayel sin murul na sin murul of course again we're a sovereign country so they're still working that out and they tamo assist edirigan mal spend that time longela nemo talking about disaster preparedness le gidam nese tarado sasel bonia disaster akwan besen national guard te tobe help para tora emergency man tumlartial team techlol team there was about 6 of them and they've been working with Wayman and moklayel tol girela anemo te dirigal ulo ay sergidro say there sel team tira hazmat angartia sel hazmat whether ngaria and I didn't know this there was one time ngaria white substance el tilur belo this is ngaramong admesen de ma khomet help get analysis because you know they're checking us at anthrax or whatever that's sel hazmat timra guam argotia mura scientist maral partner national guard and they're there to help us if there's either what a threats or something that we don't know so it's good to know that's part of the partnership and continuing to grow how can they continue to help us adregal el tian nombre del week no sé del signer el MOU lo bangela TEPCO TEPCO will be TEPCO el Tokyo Electric and Power Company say for the next 2 years will provide us with power distribution engineer el mono se orgidra really a master planning ara tel tora dengi if anything other shabala se قدرام لو تجيب المريضة ويل سيل ديزاير كده سواء بتقول renewables دي we know لو سه أتبرع بليليو إنغاريا كوريان solar البارك تقدر سبيرني إنغاريا UAE solar إنغاريا الشابال not connected to the grid إذا برتيلوك بابل دا بقدم لا تو بتقول different solar system causing destabilization so one of the things that I say first we need to do a master planning and what their goal is and put the right systems in place and help that's the first step and then help the plan goal by 2032 let's be 100% renewable but to get there this is what you need to do and really creating a roadmap minister of course this next month Maurice el COP29 se morirá Baku Azerbaijan tiasel of course tiasel close COP el morirá every year last year mra Dubai lang mora Baku seluk besel initiative sel new collective quantified goal on climate finance tiamrania qadim sada tora climate magradong make sure audo da sel mo implement el tokol program ni aktom cloud to telegirela adaptation and mitigation direct ma cloud to tel kidam denga se abulur belar lang for the next 2 years amura January amo ngel ambassador sid amo chairman arsel da seng AOSIS agel Association of Small Island States among namo cloud roller belal ensure gagidel initiatives regal small island states get into full implementation le gida champion celulda so ase ndigal girel tial kleal dalang kra 1.5 degrees sel wan lang sa kleal lang kra 1.5 degrees centigrade Celsius se blugulo ase el al time sel based sel global stock take igadam dingla se gidare langa dimral bedula 3 which is way above. So gira del muto milisi al programa and continue to push the world to make the right choices. Gidam dingel wase atara hablado saudani igal bebira press conferences sell 20 million. El gara blue ram rigel el merbelao melga seorgid ra really economic resilience up to Amrigela Osperi Loisen. Of course, we can use it. El Girel Sel Tora pension, which got already got them la plan Girel. Ambassador Amrigela Mlecolona to Tase President Bomodena say it's in process. It's a matter of weeks in Mose the clear sell grant. Mose Tiagalwa, Igara Gofang, different grant. Dingaria paperwork Giramat Mok, the sell ball ready agi or Selegon got the Murusel. Grant process. So that was good news. I just got that text this morning. Mawase aktriga ndriga dora Kurt Campbell maulam neswal di share igel information lo maged boda klavadara rangudra se it's in ndriga lo besni it's ongoing but
20 million and what
yes ngari ara lo lgira before se te dimle press release yeah. They want to reassure us it's more than a press release. There's a process they're going through, and it's going to get here. So, by the book to ye the Togaradal Artian, Chuagal Hotel Mo, recognizer Tiring Amran Nabes, first of all, recognizer a media. So, Sulang Radra at Tiabelau, Island Times, TMC, Ma Palawave. Dirigan mal mrenga sulela Vice President aselo mugedral tutau Minister Education, Minister of State, Minister of Finance, Minister Agriculture, Fisheries and Environment, Minister IMPII, Madirigal Directors Shera Madraisa MHHS, Director Augusta MHRCTD, Director Elway, MOF. Of course, a chief of staff. Herman Sulang, Pastor EP Williams. So, with that, by go pastrate ala, that's all my other mother do. Finance? Finance, you want to go first or? Sure. Maybe, okay, I'll go finance first.
All right. First, I'd like to explain an issue that's come up that we are trying to address so that we can continue to assist people with their power bills. And that's what's being called the DER, or the distributed energy cost for your power bills. As you know, the government has been subsidizing 10 cents up for the fuel charge for your energy bills. Because of the change in regulations, we are modifying the charge for your energy to include solar energy. We do have the Ngatpang solar farm. We generate energy out of that displaces how much fossil fuels that we use in generating power. The two together result in this DER, distributed energy cost to the PPUC. And in the law, the 10 cents goes against what's called the automatic fuel price adjustment, or what they refer to as AFPAC. And because of that, we need to change the language in the appropriation to reference the DER. And once we do that, then we should be able to continue to provide the subsidy to all residential users. So it's quite an easy fix. It's a challenge that we're experiencing, as the President said, as we work towards the transition away from fossil fuels to renewable energy and energy efficiency. These sorts of adjustments will need to be made through the process. It's a bit technical, so we need experts like TEPCO's engineer that will be assisting the Republic with the energy transition process. That we will uncover more of these sorts of adjustments that need to be made. Some regulatory, like the DER, which went through the APA process, and then some that are required through legislation. And of course, we look for the easiest way to make the change to accommodate what we're trying to do, which is, in the end, helping people with the volatility of energy prices, because fuel prices go up and down. Fuel is also our largest import, and because it's so volatile, it affects our economy. So we do want to stabilize the impact of fuel imports to our country, and that will be done through renewable energy installation into our country. This is something that the world is doing. A lot more larger countries are experiencing the same challenges, so it's not anything new, but it's something that it's more difficult for small islands like Palau to address, because we don't always have the experts or the money or the equipment, the technical know-how to make the same adjustments. So I wanted to share that with you, because I think that's something that we've been addressing through PIWA, Palau Energy and Water office that's under the ministry. I think you may have seen the 3-hour-long Senate hearing that my director attended. And it may confuse people on what was being discussed, but essentially what I've just described regarding the distributed energy charge is what they were discussing. So it's an easy fix, and I think Congress is already looking at that adjustment to the law, to the budget law, to allow for that 10-cent subsidy to be given to all residential households. And I hope it'll be done before the election. I think it's important that this process happens quickly, because it shouldn't be a political issue. It's just a technical issue. There's another issue I would like to bring up, because it's become
Sure.
very...
I'll quite briefly translate. Oh, Gabo.
So until that's fixed, then there's a subsidy total.
Yes, we will not be able to apply the subsidy that we have budgeted for the distributed energy charge for the solar energy part of the cost subsidy. That's our major challenge.
Kalau doa di mom kata clear, ngaramo, sel mom serabil ergi dengan sel ayat multiple charges. Ngani sel wal energy, ngani sel wal fuel. Oise, sige del fuel bleda ka geisangani no special tola se afpak. Afpak bleda calculating se kadama. Lol mal buiram la memo mnetelara la lul dos peri lom gard. eme otobdia amountri ela qadam la imul el la degdil deisero omgarda dengi indiri gal solar mela qado sel blarela PUC sel oltira sel sel regulation artir sel dasen DER distributed energy rate roda gaigel tablon arala solar marala adeizel el motmag emrugo beklerul buile kida wad calculator sel amount ترى سل وادي اللي تيلهم أرى سيد الدنجي من أقدمه charge other basis سيد ال cost per kilowatt because ملامو بأسر regulation يجي هذا المرتاوترين on November 1st سل بدل تاوترين on November 1st تيال budget بلاد باسرين October 1st أم صادر أفبق يدي غادي أرى السل Mamo problem ra ok Ministry of Finance seludo del girel mo subsidizer 10 cents amo de galsi del subsidizer tial erel tial ngara la ase afpak e de galda se DER mal simple other olvira di pasra la lo ase DER 10 cents en to the said subsidy mo aquí mal de hope lo ase el silsing October dori almeria de session Senate el pasri mal di maxinary mal di mirtir mal di minimum wage mal di mil
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And if I can switch over to a more serious issue. Earlier this week, we were made aware of a tax filing for a large Palau taxpayer, a taxpayer who is registered under the new PGST regime. And it wasn't a PGST filing, but it was a filing for fiscal year 2023 that was shared openly on the forum. This is very concerning for the tax office. We need to operate with a high level of trust. We believe that this document was released from the tax office. Indications are, based on the document that was shown, that this should have originated from the tax office. If you've seen this document, it has markings on it, and it also crosses out some information. In particular, the one that makes me suspect this is from the tax office is because it crosses out one of the tax officials who was processing that form. And I don't think anybody outside of the tax office would have taken the time, made the effort to hide a fellow employee's name if it wasn't that employee themselves. So we have opened up an investigation. Director Ikeda has previously issued memos to all staff expressing the seriousness of and importance of privacy of information and confidentiality for the tax office, to our taxpayers, as well as to those international companies that we are trying to attract to do business here. If they cannot trust our tax office, that should be enough for them not to come to Palau. So it's really important that we really emphasize the importance of confidentiality and privacy of information that our taxpayers entrust to us. So we have told the staff that this has happened, and we are opening up an investigation. I do also plan to have the special prosecutor come into the office and look at this. This is how serious we take this a breach of information. We do not know if it was actually a staff of the Bureau. We do have some very capable and trustworthy staff, but just to make sure, without a doubt, that this didn't originate from the tax office, we are taking drastic steps. We regret that the taxpayer may have been affected by this breach, and we have put out a public statement from the tax office regarding this. I think it went to the forum. And we will continue to make effort to protect this taxpayer and other taxpayers' information. You might want to take notes before I ask you to translate.
Let him translate it.
Okay, go ahead and translate that, and then I'll move to the next topic.
Malungil total President Marbekla de malungil total media waisea ko dirigal lo hospital tel mertiang e dirigal mo oiso segel do minister waseng dilu bol to de algal toy en goto klol wal dadung goto klol el sacra o tutela la tax el girir adlo barang argi de marura awre galekta tax galekta private information so di galgal to kam la adubo hindi kita mang wagel dilo minister kam la umura investigate e plan lo sisbra durs paril din ang investigate or dire gal so del malmol transparent el la investigation wagel laktire gal mo ay selwasay ato koram la umul review ya tarabla kora mo blatak lawasay sel ngara lil circulator ngi adiagal sel lil file ring taxpayer segidawan ang erol toya bebira nganya information ngar say la mongodo ral sel lil circulator ngi balu bang information baby information ngar sel lil circulator ngi adiagal waigel ngara record Why say bang malmal investigation na wal blagel do minister do meserngi klol te alam la adiblagal top dra taxpayer tilo dra adro laba information internally ngal chela either ngal chela tax or ngal chela bebiro officer ngania lo laba information ma egegida so that mo malmal lo mga dadu ora taxpayer dini kala assurtir تيا أسواد المغتقلية واسي وسنجد الجيل تيال privacy mar information di tabasul el mora rogul taxpayer mangidil taxpayer al gigrei maglo a right tringia a diosisiu lo asingire del masabakl el protect the information al submit el mora tax so del shurara del confident el remulang el hara tax tirigan ngartiang el sebegal longer question.
Thank you, Director. If I can also address the issue that I believe was trying to be portrayed with this release of tax information. It seems very clear that there is, for some reason, a strange understanding of people that large businesses are paying less tax. This particular filing was a reconciliation of tax installments paid for business profit tax. When under the business profit tax law, businesses pay 2% of their gross revenues in anticipation of the tax at the end of the year. And that's what this form did, was reconcile what has been paid versus what actual profit the business owed taxes on. And it's very obvious in the markings on this document. They highlighted gross revenue multiplied by 4%, and I can only understand that by saying that this is what they should be paying in gross receipts tax. So gross receipt tax for PGST taxpayers is not paid as GRT. It's paid as import tax and what used to be GRT, or what now under the new tax reform is called PGST. So you cannot compare business profit tax to PGST. And that seems to be what whoever shared this information and made those markings was trying to allude to, which is incorrect. Another point that I see is that they highlighted actual taxes paid, and that's true. Businesses have different cost structures. So a lawyer who has very little input cost will be having a higher percentage of profit than a grocery store, which has very low margins because it imports a lot of food and has to do a lot of storage costs like refrigeration, has to have a big store that they have to pay lease rents and other expenses on, has a lot of staff, so their margins are lower. So that is something that, as a policy, the Republic is trying to recognize, to help every business pay what money, taxes on what they earn, not on what they bring in, the gross revenue. And then if the other item that's highlighted on this form very prominently is the amount of refunds that are due to the taxpayer. So as I said, throughout the year, businesses don't know what they're going to make by the end of the year, so they pay installments. And that's established by law. That installment, the 2%, is an estimate of what we thought people would be paying based on gross revenue. We need to look at that and adjust it based on the actual information we are getting from our taxpayers. But if they are paying 2% and at the end of the year they have paid more than what they're supposed to pay, what the profit they made times 12% is, then we have to give them a refund. So it's not that businesses are getting a refund, it's not that they're paying less. This is the system that we are advocating for tax reform to help the country collect all the taxes that it's due, as well as to promote the larger economy and better businesses. So this is, an unfortunate result of what was released. It seems clear as what they're trying to say, which is very incorrect and misinforming. I also want to highlight in the Island Times, it was repeated here, and I'm really hoping that the media understands how the tax system is supposed to work and not put out this misinformation to the public. You should be helping people understand what the tax law says and how it works, so that people understand misinformation when they see it. And I think that will also discourage this type of behavior where, private information is shared from a government source to the public, and creates the wrong picture for the people that the government is not to be trusted, and the government is doing something that is not right for the people. This tax reform, as the president has shown in several of the town hall meetings and the graphs that he has shown, is really helping Palauan people specifically. And any effort to show otherwise is really misleading the people from the truth. So I would hope the media would make extra effort to help educate the public and discourage misinformation and breach of privacy for the tax office or any other government office. So I see Elway is taking notes. Let me have him
Let me
translate
just
that.
make something very clear. I think the misinformation is this. It says under PGST, businesses are paying less. What was shown on Facebook was the filing for business profits tax. I'm saying in English show because Caleb talked English. So, train of thought. So, let's go back. The article says, under the PGST system. Under the PGST system, there's two taxes. There's PGST and business profits tax. There's two taxes, both paid by businesses. PGST replaced GRT. That's the first thing that we need to understand. Second, BPT is a new tax. Two separate things. What the article failed to mention, and what was scratched on the paper failed to mention, is how much PGST Sural and Sons paid. That's the false information, which is way more than GRT. In fact, it's more than double what GRT is. So the point is, if you're going to print information, it should be accurate, instead of trying to put out misinformation, false information, just because it's political. And I'm disappointed in Island Times because, remember, there was an article that was, not an article, an paid advertisement that purported the same information that in the end said it came from the Ramasao campaign. This was discussed. Leilani's not here, but newspapers should be factual and based on fact, not on, so, Jura. Elway, ilang alam mo liude. Ingleso ka share.
So lang Miguel blal akmal dio lui de blal tu president ma minister wasing sel mnul daswal merura tax reform miltira GRT lo ba PGST GRT ma import tax and then osisibea business profits tax al tax rain ngamra ashobay aktili cultural mo taklisel lo southern minister gire la refund di bol blanc tak lo wasay refund lo la adra file a business profits tax amrangia qado lu taw dir ndim la bol revenue government de tamle overpay ndim la previous record der gidel wasay untela profit rath magdamle estimate ra or transitional rate lo wasay katingwa 2% ra cost revenue ra harangi masel bol katengedel almlongo first business profits tax return reklad makadumla mom denge profit tira 2023 mali 2023 mang kadangilu segi del liability ngi charge ra gel blel haral ng sedet mung deposit ng prepayment leng ako tokora administrative ra side ra taxing di mo dakkel mo wanir el bol malmokloeng mangung blolu to harar quarterly or file in the year and then get a return a difference and the moving forward the dolomal business profits tax and available information illegal tax liability ra previous year adi mo yudel mora next year the pay wal quarter sel tax arangale tax liability matsumatamle in la palhara 1000 lalal total PPT ya following year each quarter tara 250 ling matcher say gitin magdo moral wa selo mo meng moral mo gikray sel different seg moral mo klo information do bang may estimation na gida mo medo mang feature katingil ra kal torungi mang awan ndim la ka tokol information do lab le system ra gida before adim la kal require madim la do lab information on edel estimate the profits ongeru nga dire kal kadam sadra so misra agisal recover ilor moklo ikaw moral wasi shoba im dire kal moral mo o back on their feet settle make a profit and then moral mo refund so I think message or say was saying business profits tax first year it's not a good place to judge the business profits tax so seguida so kal duli
About,
And I think some maybe some more confused rather sell basis or second spera 2% gross revenue estimate. But this is not a gross revenue tax. This is a business profit tax. And tax ramoge. Sell PGST is really a revenue tax. Based on sales. A revenue are sales. So that's why PGST replaces GRT. Misal di mo sodra BPT mobile lolda karingil waseng GRT ay tablo kakarosul to. Uleng kudo spera 2% estimate. It's because it's an estimate and called tal dolari. Mo na mo tekatam lani kad mo duri. Titia first time so we had to have a basis. So anyway.
Mr. President, I think it's important for the media to help explain how this works because it affects people when they're paying their taxes that they're unclear as how exactly this is supposed to work. So I'm very happy to offer Elway Services to sit with you and his staff to explain through some examples how this works, and hopefully the media can share this with the public and especially the people who are trying to pay their taxes. And BPT is an important tax because if you incorrectly file for your taxes, you can get penalized heavily. So you want to be accurate in your filing, and I'm hoping the media could help us with that message.
Can we ask questions?
Yadang. Maligire.
Kami sulang na clarification ertal PPT ma PGST sa President mentioned they're two different talaga. Tokoy hindi ka nga eungela imol bill.
Why is it?
Price. Di mga eungela imol PGST tel 11 sel omdirun listing misinformation sel ko graph Island Times nang ko graph ultra PGST ma PPT PPT like 6%. And those are figures from the Ministry of Finance, right? Is the misinformation because the PGST, still 37%, takatil taxes paid by consumers, but they're also paid by businesses, tigital 2%. Is that accurate or?
So let me be clear because I was the one talking about it. So the sell misinformation awat yagid. Your amount they dispute the amount. Total tax collect. But remember, who pays PGST? Ultimately, the business pays it. Who pays GRT? The business pays it. These are both consumer taxes that have always been there. What's never happened is businesses never paid a profits tax. So, Seldo Sadra say, what are the total taxes businesses pay? It's PGST plus BPT. Before it was import tax plus GRT. I see. Those are the two taxes that you need to compare because one replaces the other. Sell misinformation oloba sell mlar sell ligangam sadro say businesses are paying less, which is not a true statement. That's that, and they and media continues to perpetuate that, and perpetuate the idea that consumers never paid before. Consumers have always paid, because at the end of the day, even the business profit tax comes from the consumer. I mean, if you think about it, so it's the way you collect it. So tialul dasulul that Island Times continues to print comes from political propaganda. I say it's and not accurate. Sige da ma adoloyan say close to tell. Let's get the correct facts. Mo wala mo geragere. Ebe halal answer minister ma director. So nagamlang.
Yes, the tax office does issue official reports. And those are what the media should rely upon. We are finishing up our fourth quarter 2024 quarterly report, and that's distributed to the President and to Congress. That shows for the whole Republic how much was received and how much was spent. And Director Ikeda and the Tax Office are issuing their annual report for the Tax Office. And those are what we should rely on as official data from the government. I think the article that you're referencing was what the President also mentioned. There was some graphs that were put out that appeared to be government published documents, but that article was paid advertisement by someone that's not government, and it wasn't disclosed in the newspaper that this was from somebody else. So, I mean, if you want information from the government, you can rely on the official publications that we issue every year by law.
But are the figures accurate? But are the are the figures accurate with just a different analysis of? But are those the data that they're referencing?
It appears to be accurate the way it's portrayed, but when you describe it or omit a description or other information, you change what the data represents. So that's where the inaccuracy comes out. Yeah.
Director, Minister, Mr.
Oh, and they were printed in Tiabelao too afterwards. So, but then they put paid advertisement. So.
Mitutawe. Sabedel wase meela in the future till 2024 while tiay the tax refund the lo southern ar belul gora malgora issue. Sabedel lo mes wase next year by mo gegare le kom lamus sab ilmom dingel wase nguangara osisabele laudo so alogel wase Maigel Besel mo registered el shobara under PGST. Sabi ito wase ko mo kuk treat it el white till 2023 il kora yal paarngi ay gang eng morngi sel refund ra first year business til lendi ga habom modengel wase dai tangwang ra profit tir sabi ito mulway say.
Wasi ako to question ka wasi wagi tilong wasa expectation na wasi sil doran mong ya ako tikda na mong dingi ngarinya record ra profit margins ra previous year mas edel baser say in fact tikdi ngusel arang lila attacks ra last year edi by the ringa for sa kita besel quarterly payment mang domral wase because say maral mo gigre refund le kadam na mo medra tax ongir sel ongirunga sa edel mulway say trigel dekadil trigel besel choice. In fact, es el ngaralos, on sumakamle may galos, en wala ka previous el tax liability. Makal motor starter sige transitional rule, es ngara regulation. Mang sa edel kuk komes ringil wasel sumang kuk kuramal glow, en sa edel adjust ringil rule. Ligdo maral sel oral mong en maral mo med, maral mo dersta nga maklorifund tileng kada na mo informe. Mengara shoba expected lo mengila gaisal. Mo chloro profit so lang.
Director, kami hindi ka kasi man maska kal kora contact person mabul selboring kora yagidil kora gimngal information le ngarinyar adul ku ma fax tirigera ma analysis tinmen maska mam ngarinya ko sa abal mo lengwang ang adal sa amlo ko ngil kukti ka kukubes ma maimura analysis ay gel en pero ko ay sel mo to kan adal met fax by information me ngarinya dia ka training ka mamra finances so we do get things wrong lang dia ka we don't know where to go ngarinya ko sel to no may
Dekang adi kampe sa messenger nga kamang di yes, the Ngwara Obis, sil mola information niya 488-2702. Yeah, or ikom email and mora taxhelp@palawkov.org. Or in mora Facebook ra page ra Obis regidra tax. Edi messenger sil dire.
Di sogal mulukol ase tilal mulukoringe ingwak la koto cloud tutele. Ngirem el mora source. I don't think there's been any time Director Elway a stable answer ang idil question. Adiblal delia Director Elway amnania request ra Senator Masal Moreno ase motobo da private information ilgira individual taxpayer el mer olbira galulaw. Director Elway amal timla kalotob da yele ke magul ralla. It's illegal. But everything else, makumra lo ase Director has always been open for any talk show, any conversation. At isakal mo duli se ak mrenga sulera mrenga lureren. Dik plol kuna se kita lang song sa rol dorun maulag arada dir confused. Di just to help help kami adra mira dir kal mamru laureriu also do some research. Mensoka a chief of staff abol iwi a letter a president ram ngasaw ra November ra 2020 and masaw der tiagi del tax system because so there at time kami adra media mom komo gera tori angod ra babinian lil sira November so choka bol iwi bol clear kami mga igal me mo geri misel ngari media lo banggel ask him the question. Okay? So kita bay makala karo ko adi mo iwi bol blak tak la karo. Bigyan nga rin ako di. I think if it's read, people can understand.
So, tia letter dated November 11, 2020, el transmitted letter selmle Palau Goods and Services Tax, el submit niya then President Ramang Saul Mora Olvira Kalulaw. So the letter reads, Dear Senate President Paules, it is my privilege to transmit for your consideration a bill to reform Palau's tax code and establish a value-added tax, which should be called the Palau Goods and Services Tax, PGST. This bill is based on Senate Bill 9-14 SD1, which was considered during the 9th OEK. Since as early as the 7th constitutional government, the VAT implementation has been on our national to-do list. The 2007 Tax Review Task Force formally recommended a transition from the gross revenue tax, GRT, for reasons that hold true today. In 2007, our policymakers were concerned about the effect of GRT on small businesses, new businesses, and international investment. They recognized that GRT favors large, established, vertically integrated businesses while disadvantaging small startups, family businesses, and boutique operations. Because the GRT is assessed at each transaction level, it penalizes businesses who work with wholesalers rather than maintaining their own supply chains. In other words, it makes it even harder for mom and pop to compete against a big business. Furthermore, the 2007 task force found that GRT discourages international investment. In their assessment, the GRT did not match well with tax systems in neighboring countries or common source countries for foreign investment in Palau. The result, in their view, was that GRT discouraged new investment in Palau. 13 years and 3 constitutional governments later, Palau is still working to encourage local startups and small businesses. Palau is still working to encourage new foreign investment, and unfortunately, Palau is also still collecting GRT. Over the years, our local officials have continued to examine tax reform alongside top international experts. That work has further strengthened their opinion that the PGST will deliver a stronger, more reliable revenue base, and that PGST is a better fit for the economy we strive to build. The COVID-19 pandemic has put us in a difficult economic situation, and the road ahead will not be easy. The pandemic has exposed the vulnerabilities of our economy and revealed key areas for improvement, but we can build back better if we stay the course. This is the time to improve our business climate by establishing a corporate registry, by developing a system for international commercial arbitration, by improving the resiliency of core sectors, and by reforming our tax code. During this pandemic, we must preserve the best and improve the rest. If we do that, we can come out of this crisis stronger than ever. We have worked hard to preserve the best. Our best assets are healthy people, strong communities, and a dedicated workforce. Thanks to the efforts of our frontline workers, thanks to vigilance of our emergency response officials, and thanks to the generous and timely passage of the CROSS and U.S. CARES Acts, we have preserved those assets. With the best preserved, we can work harder to improve the rest. We can build a stronger revenue base, improve critical sectors, lay the groundwork for greater economic stability, and create an even more attractive business environment for responsible international partners. Tax reform will be a critical step in this process, and I look forward to working closely with your membership in the weeks and months to come. I am confident that we can move this process forward and hash out some key aspects of the PGST policy. And I am confident as well in the 11th constitutional government. The progress we make this year will lay the foundation for their work in 2021. Throughout this crisis, the executive and legislative branches have cooperated for the good of Palau. Moving forward, the 10th and 11th constitutional governments will do the same. Sincerely, signed the Tami Irmang Sao Jr., President of the Republic of Palau.
So the fast forward lang ang dasang giral mo blatak mo beklat alwase sayam mle direction of president mle tril to kalo sa corporate registry, arbitration, and tax reform. This otherwise was a corporate registry amna mumre kadana pasani al government. Arbitration kadana pasani al government. Tax reform we passed it. But we didn't pass the version of Bel submit niya President Ramosaw. A President Ramosaw submit a version and sawala 15% del PGST. Gido ulumral was say that's too high. Gadinul met 10%. Lim leswadal olgether sel gia collecting adra the collecting through GRT el mokmeder kay sisim sel the collecting through PGST. Ongero regadul maral was say sell business profit tax bill proposing a President Ramosaw 4% is not fair. Lengarama other lower and masugura a minimum wage pays 6% net income tax on his first 8,000 of income. Ya business a pera 4. That doesn't make sense. Enge asum lengalakar say before katamle pera 12%. So katamle propose or say a business profit tax at a minimum should be 12%. So that's why we did two things. One, we reduced our PGST from 15 to 10%, increase our business profit tax from 4 to 12%. So, most importantly, print accurate information, research the facts. Yes, you didn't understand politics, but go with the facts. Sida de dolitri.
The clarification. The clarification is because it's also just from the tigitan mo lokoringin basta komle tel CR 4%, komle raisingin mo 12%.
No, business profit.
Business profit tax ang arangi replace ra CRT.
No.
PGST,
So, tila
okay.
selo lisa karamiyo a President Ramosaw. Confused or other blue. That's why you continue to be confused.
I will clarify because you're talking about it and then you're saying GRT and BPT. So you're talking about GRT 4% and then now you're...
No. Okay. President Ramosaw proposed a PGST bill. I'll address a two issue. One a PGST, and one a business profit tax. I say, again, a proposal I say 15% a PGST, 4% a BPT. Now, ula ka mo confused, I say, BPT, kung daw tell 4% del BPT, di wa GRT. It's not. Di, tirul fair sell rate a GRT. So, once again, I'm propose a 15% del PGST, 4% el business profit tax. Kido ulumral was say, PGST was too high. Magadinun met 10. Ulumral was a sell business profit tax was too low before. Magadinun met 12. And that's what we're using today. So our businesses paying more clothes business, are they paying more today than they paid yesterday? Absolutely. Misel print say they're paying less. It's a lie. What is it? That's the issue. So Qadi, that's what it's false, and that's why it's false. Confusion other ablun morar and dir, and everybody recognizes that this was a tough political decision. But I think at the end of the day, we all understand what I say. It was for the betterment of Ablur Belau and prepares us for the future. And now, Ablur Belam natni tayel amars and nebtokal amars system ringi, and really now has money to give back. Most importantly, el mortigel gotros peangeso. That's why we were able to reduce our tax burden and more tegel gotem to pay the most. The tax refund. And what else have we done? Because I'm going to raise our salary here. That's the overall policy. But the media, still as of Tuesday, are really confused. So that's why we want to make sure you're informed. And please, Elway is ready anytime. Go and ask as many questions. Will help Camille mo understand. So lang. Ya, awulang kamle, awulgel wasang arge misraklay. Gael akot to kabladu lose sell letter, abled publishing in Island Times ra 2020. Makora masang was she's still confused in Merala sales. So hopefully most elmen next press conference because sell the miss press conference ng again October. So di was eligar Moses el blog uktigal me. Okay, kada bora igel bebe ra will I say mo kada sa da tax no kasi mo da sa da tax di man chodum sa al.
Do I say? Po, Mungil.
On the hadik other one more thing. Kidam thing I say to misinformation. Let's stick to the facts. Let's not get personal, and let's not tomgidol. Adido sada. Let's stick to the facts. And when the facts are wrong, they have to be corrected. That's all we want seen. But that doesn't mean kasi we don't like somebody, no? Or why, like some articles are, that we would never do that. We respect democracy, we respect a freedom or other comment, but all we ask, share the facts. Sula.
Already announced on Monday, October is Breast Awareness Month. There's several activities going on, and the first thing I said, from Amlamesa Central Tora mobile mammogram, several all-time a super center, Magimal. Most of us, so several all-time Pargra Super Center, sebelah ngidil adal. Well, not ngidil at but ardil asabel mong mala screening for free. It open around it's open all the way until 5 o'clock. We have a lot of good gift, airtime, fuel voucher, water bottles. So sellable screen na adetang may. So that's the sort of the schedule that we have for this month, and then moringa schedule in November el mora West, mora WCTC. Dira top the self-final schedule, and there are still some logistics things that we need to confirm with WCTC. Besel top the schedule November, hopefully by the end of the week, yagi cook release ringi